flesh.
Over the past few days, I've been experimenting, trying out many skills using demonform, which I absolutely love. There has been many videos focusing on sparks or hex blast with demonform, and I wanted to try something no one else is using, and I ended up choosing Impending Doom. Now, as you can see, demonform help us deal crazy amount of damage at higher stacks. I managed to get my Demon's Flame stack to about 66 stacks, and that is approximately 12,000% increased damage. So let's quickly talk about my setup, and I won't go too much into the detail of demonform since if you watch this video, you probably have seen other demonform videos. So yeah, anyway, in demonform, you're shifted into a demon, gaining increased cast speed, plus level to all spell skills, and most importantly, you gain spell damage with each demon flame stacks. And your normal dodge roll turn into a demon dash that goes twice as far. So anyway, to make this best to your advantage, you need to know the following. Now, you always take a minimum of 1 damage per demon flame stacks regardless of your health. So you should keep your life to be as close to 200 life as possible, because having more than 200 life means you'll take more damage, and having less than 200 life doesn't really provide any benefits. Next, you also need to push your HP per second to be as high as possible, and we can talk about how to do that later. Offensively, we are really strong. We are able to push really high demon flame stacks, and that gives us a lot of free spell damage. Now that's scaled with all our spells, so we have Impending Doom with spell Cascade and Burning Inscription to create Ignited Ground, and that cover the AoE portions. Now with the Ignited Ground, we are also able to drop multiple comets with the cast on Ignite, because we will ignite enemy with really high magnitude and will build up stacks really fast on the rare and bosses. At higher stack, this comet will do a lot of damage and often wipe out rare and bosses in seconds. And defensively, we are also very strong as well. I'm casting Enfeeble, so basically all monsters around me deal less damage. We have Blasphemy support with Temporal Chain, so everything around me is moving in slow motions. Yeah, and during map, we also have about 12k energy shield from running Green Feast together with the amount of energy shield we have, right, which is 6k. And pretty much the setup, I haven't died in like the last 20 maps, and I've been running really repeat contents without any issue, face tanking pretty much everything. And again, you can run the setup with pretty much any spell, but when discussing spell, I want to focus on Impending Doom. Now for those who might not know, Impending Doom is a support gem that activates when your curse expires. And yeah, so we can force our curse to expire using the Curse Ground spell, and it looks something like this. So as you can see, I cast Curse Ground support here, and it's important to note that you can have only one of these Curse Ground activated at one time. Any subsequent Curse Ground that I cast, the previous one will expire and trigger Impending Doom, and also Burning Inscription. You can see the burning on the ground. So yeah, you can see that this spell actually cover a lot of ground because we are using spell Cascade, so that it helps with AoE clear, right? Now all these interaction deal damage based on your mana, so Burning Inscription deal damage based on the maximum mana, and the Impending Doom deal damage based on your current mana. So you know, even though our mana is really not really high compared to the typical mana stackers, both Impending Dooms and Burning Ground damage will scale with spell damage, so that is our primary scaling vector. Next, we have Cast on Ignite, and combined with the Comets and Spell Echo, the setup focus on single target damage. So Ignite is triggered when the enemy step on our Burning Ground that is created from the Enfeeble Curse Ground. So again, Comet is the spell of choice here because it dealt the highest damage in the game right now for all the spells. And especially when paired with nodes like Heavy Frost, it allows us to pretty much ignore enemy elemental resistance. And again, combine this with the Cast on Ignite with really high Ignite magnitude, you can drop multiple Comet in successions, and this will instantly delete any bosses or rares, you know, as long as you have really high stacks. Let's talk about how we can achieve the life regen that will allow us to sustain 600 plus stacks. Now the short answer is Mask of the Stitched Demon. And let me quickly show you instead of talking, because when I take off this helmet, our life regen basically go from 1400 to just 240. So to do the setup, this helmet is mandatory. Now this helmet gives us 0.05 life per second per maximum energy shield, and we will be able to stack a lot of energy shields from all the increased maximum energy shield node on our passive skill trees and the Ghostwrite body armor. Another thing that is really important to note here is that I have my helmet corrupted with the 0.07 life per second per maximum energy shield, and it's actually helped a lot. It might not seem like much, but if you are able to get both of your Ghostwrite and Mask of the Stitch Demon corrupted with the life modifier change, right? It would greatly boost your life per seconds. Now, you should not just buy it from the market because people are selling it for way too expensive, like upward of 10 plus divine. So if anything, I suggest you to self-corrupted it because yeah, I'm able to self-corrupt in my own helmet, and you know, I just suggest you to do the same. You shouldn't overpay for it. Okay, so that's for the energy shields and Mask of the Stitch Demon part. Now you should also stack a lot of flat life regen on your gears, on the pieces that can have life regens. We have amulet, rings, boots, belt, and yeah, that should be one of your most important suffix. Beside that, jewels are also very important. You want ruby jewels with the life regeneration rate stats, but I will talk about that in the item sections. Now, I just want to quickly touch on an interactions with the Mask of the Stitch Demon that I'm using. And it might be unintended, but anyway, I hope GSG will find a way to keep this current interactions or, you know, not fully fix it, because without it, we have to spec into a squishier version of the build, but that, and I'm not sure if it's possible yet, but for now, we are safe. As you can see here, we have a line on this helmet that say you cannot have energy shields, but as you can see, we are having full energy shields. This is because demonform snapshot the stats when you transform, and also we will retrospectively give you the bonus from the energy shield convert to life regen when you equip this helmet. So what you do is you're going to take off the helmet, transform into demon form, and then you put this helmet back on, and as you can see, we are able to retain the energy shield while having a full benefit of the life regen that it offers. Beside that, we will also be using Grimfist, and this essentially double our energy shield, and that's about 12k energy shield while mapping and doing crazy amount of damage. So yeah, this build is extremely strong right now. Let's briefly discuss the Ascendancy. Now, our option is actually very flexible, but aside from the, I guess the first one, right, we want Demon Form. Now for the second one, I recommend taking Alter Flesh, a very strong node overall for us. We will get cap resistance from our 3 unique items, which give chaos resistance, and this helps us mitigate physical damage, so that's pretty good. Additionally, we convert a portion of elemental damage to fire damage taken, and with the ruby jewel that we are using for life regenerations, you can also get maximum fire resistance on there, and we can get to 90% fire resistance, maximum resistance, which is really good. But that's for like a min-max version. Anyway, for the last 2 points, it's very flexible. You could, if you like the dog, you could take the dog. It will absorb 20% of the damage you have taken, so you're a lot more tankier. And I'm opting for the maximum mana, which contributes to our scaling, and energy shield over here as a scale with life regeneration. And again, our Ascendancy is very flexible. You can choose this 2 node over here. It will reserve 50% of your life, and that will help you get closer to the 200 maximum life. If you want to pick Spirit to help round out your spirits, or Loyal Hound to help with defense, feel free to do so. And another interesting thing I find is that the Ghostwrite conversions that actually happen after this maximum life conversion, so you are able to get the full benefit of this maximum life before the Ghostwrite conversion. So yeah, that's pretty good for us. Let's talk about the items. And honestly, in my opinion, our build is actually quite budget. Consider that we don't actually need a weapon once you can maintain a good amount of stacks, right? Because we'll always be in demon form, and demon form don't use weapon. So before getting into all the details, the goal of our build, or like for started, you need to get at least 500 to 700 life regen because you want to be maintaining at least 250 to 300 stacks roughly to finish the map. And yeah, so on the amulet, rings, belt, and boot slots, we will need to have the best life regen stats that you can get. And on all the jewels, you also need to have the best life regeneration rate that you can get as well, capped out at 15%, I think. And these are quite expensive already. And again, it's not because of me. Other people have been pushing out this demon form content. So yeah, if you really want premium jewels, you can also grab one with the maximum fire resistance as well, because we are taking Alter Flash. Alright, so with that out of the way, the next stats that we want to get on our gears would be mana. It's because damage scale with maximum mana and mana in general. But also another reason is that if the mask of the Stitch Demon get fixed and it's not snapshotting anymore, then we'll be forced to go into another build, which yeah, I will talk about if it happens. Anyway, since we already have 3 unique items as well, so we'll need to get as much elemental resistance on the other pieces as we can, so you'll somehow need to balance out between getting mana, resistance, and life regens, which is all equally important in my opinion. Maybe the life regen is a little bit more, but yeah, ideally for your boots and gloves, you want to also have good amount of energy shield, because that will convert it, help with the life regen. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You can see here that on my boots, I choose not to have movement speed because I feel like the demon dodge roll is good enough. It gives me enough mobility doing maps, so I don't want movement speed, and it's a little bit cheaper to get it without movement speeds. But if you do want to go faster, definitely look for movement speed, because it will actually affect the dodge roll distance as well. And okay, here let's take a look at the passive skill trees. I want to show you that I'm using a From Nothing Diamond Jewel. Now this one will allow us to allocate passive that is not connected to our trees, and yeah, it looks like this. Like you can see, I'm allocating all these nodes down here. You want to look for the one with the that you can allocate the passives in radius of bulwark or unwavering sense. Yeah, because we want to all the regeneration nodes here around Hailheart. Yeah, and it's very strong. It will save you so many points when traveling all the way down here. Now, I'll provide you with the trade link for both of these jewels in the description of this video, since they can be a bit harder to find. Next, let's talk about how you can craft the jewel, okay? Because if it's too expensive for you and you still want to get started, you can actually go ahead and craft them for cheap. Here are the 3 jewels that you can find on the market to craft, and they are in order from the cheapest to the most expensive. Now, what you need to know is that for all these 3 jewels, you want to use greater essence of the body to craft them, and they have to be on a ruby base. Now, because we want to add 1 life modifier to the jewels, you will have about 1 out of 4 chances for it to be life regeneration rate. You can see all the mod pools here in PoE DB. But anyway, in order to increase the odds, we want to look for buying one that already have 1 life modifiers or 2, right? So for the first one here, I have the totem life, and that's 1 life mod. So you can find, you know, one of these for like 5 Exile or less, right? Very cheap. The next one, I have 2 life mod, which would increase the odds to be 50%, which is really good. Now, if you really want to look for one like this, it will be a bit harder to find, but I don't think that it will be that expensive. For the last one, I'm having the +2 maximum fire resistance and a minion maximum life on here. So this will cost you roughly about 1 divine, and that's for a try a 33% chance to successfully add the life regeneration rate on this maximum fire resistant base, which you know will sell for a lot of money, right? So depending on the budget and investment, you might want to pick one that fits best for your situations. Now, let's quickly talk on the campaign and how we can actually min-max the life a little bit if you make sure that you want this character, like you plan to have this level up, right? I don't suggest you to re-roll just for this, but yeah, if you don't kill Candlemass from the Act 1 normal and Act 1 cruel and use the items, you will save about 20 maximum life, so you're not gonna get it, right? and the 8% maximum life. For the poison vial, I suggest taking mana regeneration rate and +10 to chaos resistance to make it possible to cap out your chaos rest from just 3 pieces of unique gear, which is really good. Alright, let's talk a little bit about the passive skill trees, and I'll use the link over here on Mobalytics because my level is pretty low in-game. So the most important thing here to know is that you want to use your passive skill trees to focus on getting as much jewel socket as possible. You want to scale your curse and you want to scale your maximum energy shield. You don't really want to scale offensively with your passive skill trees because we already get so much damage from demon form, so all you want to do is make sure that you can sustain it for longer, and that's damage. Alright, so let's start here with the Whisper of Doom. And because, like I mentioned before, we are running Temporal Chain and Enfeeble as our defensive layer, and that will make the monster around us do much less damage and also move a lot slower and attacking slower as well. So we scale up our effect of our curse with this Guster here, and then we also hinder the enemy, make them move even slower. We also increase the area effect of our curse, which is really good. It helps us do more AoE damage. And yeah, so that's the 2 curse cluster that we want to take. Next, we also want to take as much energy shield as possible. So all these energy shield node here you want to take. And this node you want to take because it uses maximum energy shield as stun threshold, so it will prevent us from being stunned. Yeah, so that's very important. During map, you want to grab this as early as possible. Again, this increase maximum energy shield, increase maximum energy shields, and grab as much of that as possible because they will convert into life regenerations for us. And then again, a lot of jewel socket. You want to try to grab as many as you can. Let's see here, the note over here, this is to help us prevent getting freeze, and you should take it later in the game. So right now I'm not even taking it. I will take it much later, yeah, but it's very important that you want to take this. Besides that, let me see here, we have mana recovery rate, and yeah, so Impending Doom scale off your current mana, so you always ideally want your mana to be full. So we are taking all these mana regeneration notes, mana cost of skills when possible. Yeah. Let me see Zealot Oath here. It's not as important, but it helps you a little bit when earlier into the map because it helps you ramp up your energy shields, prevent any damage taking earlier in the game. Because later on, as you get more stacks, you'll take more damage, so you have less effective over life regeneration. So yeah, this node won't be as useful. Yeah, one of your jewel socket will be used to put in the From Nothing jewels. That will help you grab all these life recovery node down here, which is very important as well. And I think that's pretty much cover everything. So one more thing. Over here, Heavy Frost, like as mentioned before, this node is really broken. After your comet falldowns and then build up freeze and freeze the rare or bosses, this will effectively make you ignore elemental resistance from frozen enemies. So any subsequent cast of comet will fall down and do massive extra damage, which is very important in bursting out bosses. Finally, let's talk about our skill gems. First, we have our bread and butter demon form skills, and you don't need to socket anything in here besides second wind, and that should be enough for us to be permanently in demon form with this setup. Next, we'll have Enfeeble, and it should be noted here that I have the skill gems at level 3, and that's the minimum level, and it helps us save mana when spamming these skills. We have 3 mandatory support gems that we'll use for this, that is Impending Doom and Curse Ground, to help us deal damage, and Burning Inscription to help create Ignite Ground. And for the other 2 support gems right now, I'm planning to use Spell Cascade to cover the AoE portions, and probably Magnifying Effect to increase the AoE. The Lightning Warp and Bolt Lightning setup is mainly used to create Shock Ground if you have seen my previous build. This will help us deal more damage during boss fight or earlier in the map when you don't have a lot of stacks. Lightning Warp is actually a very good tool for helping your mobility as well, because when a monster is ready to be called, you can cast Lightning Warp and you will teleport to that mob and execute them. So I'm using Overcharge for higher shock magnitude, Persistent for longer shock duration ground, and Magnifying Effect for larger shock rounds. And eventually I might move this to Enfeeble Curse, as I mentioned before. For Ball Lightning, I'm using Accelerations and Scattershot to make it easier and faster to create shock round where I want. Next, we have Blasphemy buff, and I'm using Temporal Chain with Encumbrance and Ritualistic Curse. Since we are putting Temporal Chain into Blasphemy, the downside of Ritualistic Curse won't affect us, so that's pretty good. We have Cast on Ignite, and that's our main single target damage skills. I have Comet here with Spell Echo, Impetus, and Inspirations. And for the last slot, I'm considering to add Super Critical for even more crit damage. The next spell that I'm using is Eye of Winter, and this skill is amazing for us. So, as you can see here, I'm using Withering Touch, and it requires support skills to deal chaos damage for it to inflict Wither on hit. And while Eyes of Winter only do cold damage, you can see here that we actually have chaos damage with the spell, and it's because of Ming's Heart. This ring gives us 40% damage as extra chaos damage, so our Eye of Winter can actually inflict Wither, and that's a pretty cool tech. Consider that Eye of Winter also hits so many times using Unleash support here. We can easily build up 50 Wither stacks instantly. And beside that, Eye of Winter also inflict critical weakness, which will help our Comet crit more often because it already have a base crit of 15%. Well, it's actually 13% plus 2% more from quality. So, with 20 stacks of critical weakness, Comet will have a base crit chance of 25%. Yep. So Eye of Winter help Impending Doom deals more damage, but also help Comet deal more damage. This skill is really good for us. Lastly, like I mentioned before, we have Grimfist, and everyone knows the skill is broken, so use it while you can. Here I want to do a quick map showcase. So you get into a map, take off your helmet, turn into demon form, put the helmet back on, and you retain all your energy shield. Now for the first 20 to 30 seconds of a map, you're not doing a lot of damage. So what I'm doing here is I'm just getting some water, drink my waters, and relax, chill a little bit, because this map also have a delirium mirror, so I don't really want to push it until I have at least 20 stacks. So again, ideally you're not running into rare in the first 20 seconds or like 30 seconds or even 1 minute of the map, because you're not going to be able to do a lot of damage. But if you do, make sure that you also kite them and bring the rare along, right? So eventually you will be able to kill them. As you can see here, we are able to finish the rare here, right? And so your stack is your damage, and you're constantly ramping up during map, so eventually you will see me one-shotting all, if not like everything in the map, even rares. And generally a map takes me about 5 to 6 minutes, and that's about 300 stacks. But as you can see, our build can go up to 600 stacks, so it's very comfy, but you don't really need to push your stack to be that high like me. And yep, we start ramping up here. As you can see, we are very strong. We have Blasphemy support. You can see the kind of like the AoE of the Blasphemy. Temporal Chain curse here. Like all the monsters around us are just moving in slow motion. They are also cursed with Enfeeble. So defensively, we are very strong. And again, we are ramping up right now. Very quickly. All these monsters just going to dying in 1 or 2 hit of Comet, right? If the Comet drops. But otherwise, you can also use Enfeeble. Enfeeble curse here, the playstyle itself, it's just pretty much one button. It's very comfy in my opinions. I'm just starting to get used to this playstyle, honestly. It's very comfy, you are very tanky, just dashing straight into a pack of mobs without any issues. You know that you'll be safe. At least in the beginning, right? Because at this kind of stack, like about 100 to 200 stacks, even if you don't have the full stack of energy shields, your life regens should with Eldritch, with Zealot Oath actually, should take care of the energy shield regens. Yeah, as you can see here, just cruising through map right now. We are at about 150, 160 stacks. This is where you're very strong. And from now on, pretty much any pack of Bray will die in 1 or 2 combat. So, as you can see here, Essence Monster die even without combat, right? And Feeble, Impending Doom also do a lot of damage. You want to keep your mana. Like you can see my mana never really go low, because if my mana ever get too low, Impending Doom won't do a lot of damage. And yeah, so there's something that you need to manage your mana out there a little bit. But with just enough passive point in the skill trees, it shouldn't be a problem to maintain your mana. And so part of this build that is, I'll say like a bad thing about this build is that it doesn't really have a lot of mobility. But it might just be my build because I'm not running movement speed on my boots. But I just feel like I have enough mobility to move around the map. So, but you know, comparing to the Deadeyes or other Ascendancy, just zooming through map, then obviously this is nowhere near as fast. So anyway, I'm really liking this build. This is only the beginner kind of version of the build because I don't have everything. I only have 6 link. I'm going to push this build much further. I don't even have maximum elemental resistance here, but that's not a problem doing maps, right? As you can see, I also showcased that I clear Zest at the in the beginning of the video. So pinnacle bosses doesn't really matter. Once you are at the 500, 600 stacks of Demon Flame, you will do that much damage that literally you would trivialize any content in the game. So yeah, so ideally by 250 to 300 stacks, you start looking for the boss. And yeah, I'm just dashing around a little bit more, trying to grab a few more kills. And then once I'm at 300 stacks, I'll start moving to boss. Now, if you happen to, you know, start a map and you want to really cruise to it, just AFK a little bit longer, just go make a sandwich or something. I'll say, yeah, 300 stacks, you'll see the boss just getting destroyed. And I don't really have fancy gear, right? Like the scaling of this build is just Demon Flame stack. So I'm not sure like the really high budget how it's gonna go damage wise, because we don't really need more damage. But I'm imagine that if we can push to 700 or like 800 stacks of Demon Flame, we can just one-shot a lot of bosses, pinnacle bosses, yeah. So as you can see, yeah, this boss is a little bit annoying. He has phases, so I can't actually kill him in this phase, and I have to wait for him to move on to the next phase. And yeah, Ignited Ground, again, scaling a lot better with higher stacks. So you can see the energy from Cast on Ignite just going up very fast, dropping multiple combat on the boss. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the build. And hope you enjoyed this build, and let me know in the comment if you have any questions. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider to give a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.